Welcome everybody to the Turks. A vacation is never complete without water. Everywhere I go, I gotta make sure that there is access to the ocean. And this is why. Look at how beautifully clear the water is around here. And look at all the fish swimming around. We're located right around here in Providenciales. We went up and down this shore looking for any fish that we could find, and overall, I would say we were pretty successful. I think we got a little bit from all of the parts of the animal kingdom here in this one. As you can see here, I'm chilling out on the rocks. They're asking me to do something lewd in front of everybody, and I'm not having it. I'm trying to tell them, look at all these fish in here. This is the first section that I actually saw anything. It's weird because this area, there's a lot of sand. Just open sand without like reefs and rocks, compared to like a place like Hawaii where the water is just full of life. The water here is actually pretty devoid of life. You just need to know where to look. And this is where I first realized that over near all these rocks and everything, kind of like a reef, it's almost similar to an aquarium. They all kind of live right here. And as I was doing this, I was also told that there's a family of barracuda around here as well. But I could not seem to find them. I was a bit afraid to go find those guys because they're literally just giant missiles in the water. But look at this guy, this friendly little guy, swimming around in the rocks. I'm trying to tell him, there's literally a fish right there. No one can tell what I'm saying through the scuba mask. But I keep looking down here at all these aquarium fish, and that one curious guy, he continues to show up as I'm getting thrown over the rocks by all these waves. It was not easy, I'll tell you that much. It was not easy to stay hooked to these rocks here. They're covered in algae and just throwing me around the entire time. Said I look like a mermaid. But I'm way more interested in what's in these rocks. The apparatus that I'm using to look into the water here, the camera level isn't exactly at my eye level, so I'm trying to kind of get my head deeper into the water or kind of look more towards my chest so the camera can actually see what's going on here. So this is me kind of learning how to use the GoPro, and look, our little friend is back. And this is me desperately trying to get it on camera, because this was like the first real big fish I kind of saw. And he's swimming off. He's interested in what's going on, waiting for something to fall out of my pockets, I think. And there's that big wave. It just sends me right over the rocks. Welcome to Jurassic Park. They have this full island. They call this Iguana Island. If you'd believe it, that was one of the smaller ones that we saw. This big guy here, I think that he might be the alpha male. He's got all the attachments. He's got the ladies up next to him. This is where their nests are, like up in the grassy little areas here. There was a bunch of piles of like burned wood and stuff too. I don't know if they, you know, like that sort of thing, or people were just like setting fires on the island. But one thing that they tell you not to do here is to bring your garbage and leave it here, because it attracts rats, and the rats will eat all the iguana's eggs, so they try to mitigate that. Here's me in my bright yellow shoes, we just keep walking back and forth in front of these nests here, and they're just sitting here watching us. I'm waiting for one of them to come over here and bite me in the ankles and the toes or something. They have a lot of these weird plants that give out these little burrs. They kept getting stuck to my like leg hairs and all my my skin on my shins and stuff like that. Some really interesting plants on this island. Here's another big male protecting his nest. You don't want to stand next to him for too long. This is kind of like, there's a grill in this little area, but we found this guy hanging out in the shade. These things are big, man. They are nothing to mess with. Like, if you cross this guy the wrong way, he's coming at you, and he's taking a finger with him. They like the shade right in front of this tree here. This is also where the grill is on the island that you can come and use as well. They like this wood and the shade right next to the tree. It's pretty cool. I think they actually have some burrows under the wood here. And they may have put this wood here so you don't fall into the burrows or something, give it some structural support so you can stand over them. I'm not sure about that theory though. This is a little closer shot. I got to the nests when I was a little more brave. You can see all the tail drag marks in the sand. It's really an interesting little ecosystem they got going on in this island. It's like these guys almost just reign supreme. They do whatever they really want. Cool little place. The other side of the island, there's a nice little trail on the side of this cliff here. The water erodes at this cliff, so I mean, I don't know how much longer this trail is going to be here for, and I don't know if I recommend walking on it in case you're ready to jump, but it's a really nice view. You get to see the whole horizon off the side of the island. You get a little bit of altitude. Altitude is hard to come by at these islands. There's not like a lot of mountains. It's really just like flat desert almost. But there's these rocks right underneath all of the cliff face here. I'd love to, you know, go down there and swim and see what they got, but those waves were just going crazy in the wind. This is, as you can see, there was like a better trail here at one point, but the erosion just continues to take this part of the island into the ocean, so I don't recommend walking on this trail on a Guana Island unless you're, you know, physically fit enough to do it, and definitely wear shoes because there's a lot of these roots and those plants that I mentioned earlier with the little burrs. This is where I saw a lot of them and got a lot of them stuck in my leg hairs and shin skin. And this right here was the hardest part. Doing it all with one hand, holding onto the tree, making sure I don't fall onto the rocks. It's just such a great view right here as well. You can see how I'm just like panning over and over again, taking it all in. Usually the ocean isn't this rough around here. It really depends on which way the wind is blowing on what side of the island, how bad the waves are. When there's a lot of waves, it also kicks up a lot of the sand, which makes it difficult to see things in the water. You can see that people made these trails all the way to the other side of the island through here as well. So like I kind of walked around the cliff face, but you can access this cliff from the other side of the island through those trails that I just passed on the left. There's a whole little network of trails to kind of reach this section of the island. Really cool part of the island. There was actually, I saw a couple manta rays on my way walking over here as well. I wasn't able to get it on camera, but a lot of wildlife around here to see, even though it may look barren when you're in the water. as I was exploring the ocean floor around Iguana Island, I started to see these guys, these sessile jellyfish that are upside down. I thought they were like an anemone. I got closer and I realized these are all jellyfish, and I've been swimming right above them this whole time. This part of the island, it kind of... This is me screaming to people to stop walking here because I found a bunch of jellyfish all over the floor. But this part of the island kind of comes together at a point, and it blows all of the sand into these interesting little mounts all over these jellyfish. I don't really see these things anywhere else around the island but here. So I think that all the nutrients kind of blow into this one area, and they all sit here and filter feed on the bottom. There's a lot of like floating wood and stuff that I saw through here. This is me just like going through. It's almost like a garden of all these sessile jellyfish. Literally over and over, I'm just passing them. Look at how tiny this one is. But as I was doing this, there was a lot of like floating wood and you know, coconuts and stuff that end up here because it's so shallow, and the current doesn't get as strong. Like when the tide goes out, it's shallow and the current isn't moving, so things kind of get stuck right above all these jellyfish. And I think that, you know, their daily intake of nutrients depends on these little mounts that kind of slow the water and start to build up in the low tides and everything like that. Here's a little lagoon that I found. You can see all the coconuts sprouting underneath this as well, but this lagoon was separate at low tide from the rest of the ocean near the island. These are all those sessile jellyfish are in this little lagoon, along with the palm trees that are starting to grow from all the coconuts that are also ending up here. It's interesting that they're in this little pond, separated from the rest of the ocean there. If Iguana Island already wasn't cool enough, we get to watch this stingray feeding in those little sea mounts. There was a bunch of these little holes that I wasn't sure what was inside. I didn't want to stick my fingers in them. There might have been maybe like clams or crabs or something in there. I was getting really close to this thing. Like, this is a wide view shot, so it looks even farther away than I actually was. But all that was going through my mind was Steve Irwin and how I didn't want to end up like him. But I really do love this wildlife photography type of thing, and this was one of those moments where you're just truly stunned by the beauty and the danger that is something like a stingray. He's just sitting there eating. He does not care about me. He knows that he can end my life in one swipe. He is not worried. And it's cool to see all the fish kind of gathered around him, looking to get the seconds that he's, you know, chomping off and loses. Here's another shot. He was starting to swim away a little bit, so I was kind of following him. And I don't know how many times I've really seen a stingray, in the wild at least, kind of swim around like this. It's hard to really imagine the way that they move until you really do see it. This guy, I think this guy might have been the biggest one that I saw the entire trip. You'll see the other ones that I ended up meeting later on in the trip, but look at that little silverfish there as well. He's showing up for the party with all his other friends. That's my, I think that was my cousin trying to scare me, comes and taps me on my shoulder. I am locked in at this point. There's no way anyone's taking me out. While we were finishing up on Iguana Island, we found ourselves a lemon shark. You can see his silhouette here, not perfectly, but he is like neon yellow from the top. The sharks have this lateral line which I think can pick up these electromagnetic pulses from all your equipment. Watch me as I take a nice quick sprint here to try and get ahead of it. This is one of those moments where the GoPro is about to overheat because I can't put it in the water fast enough. If you can't tell, this is also the legendary Fortnite goat Logan here chasing this little shark. This is a nice little shot here. You saw it zip away in that cloud of sand. I'm trying to follow it. I can see it from above, but I'm trying to direct the camera while looking at it from above, so this is a really great shot in the shallows. You can see how yellow it really is. And we got Logan over here trying to get nice and close to it. He's kind of cornering it over at the shore. Look at what happens. Everyone's big and strong until the lemon shark comes at you. This was the only shark I actually saw the whole time, was this little guy here. So, I mean, I was pretty much in the water any chance I could get. Place is pretty family friendly for, you know, taking your snorkel in for sure. Here's the part of the vacation that I think Lily was the most excited for. And this was adopting a puppy. We were able to go to this store. They call these dogs pot cakes. They're basically just puppies that they take off the street. And they give you a little fun pack for the dog, and you can bring it around onto the beach and walk him and stuff like that. And he is just absolutely adorable. Here, we put him down for the first time, and he's walking around, he's having fun with everybody, you know. We're giving him treats, making sure he doesn't have to go to the bathroom, because we don't really know. So it's a good thing that we didn't keep holding him, because he was about to pee right all over us. We kept rewarding him anytime he would do anything good, and he just loves food. He was big on the food that we were trying to give him. Look how cute this little guy is. So we start trying to take him on a walk here. He is clearly resisting the walk. His harness barely fits him. We're thinking, you know, he probably likes walking on the grass compared to the hot pavement and stuff like that. And then he just sits down. He says, "I'm not walking no more, pick me up." He just says, "I'm not walking no more. What do I need to walk for? I got you guys to carry me like this." He just completely stopped. It was so funny. This little guy has so much personality, and I'm so glad that we were able to get this guy. Like, look at him here. You can see the food in the bag, and he is just so excited. Hey, look at him. And now we're feeding him some of the wet food that we got, and he doesn't understand that the slats in the chair keep making him fall, and he's looking around like, what's going on? Who's pulling me under the chair? It's so funny. Like, he was a bottomless pit. Anytime that we would give him food, he would just slurp it up as quickly as he could. He's really friendly too. Like some puppies, you know, they just want to be away from everyone, that type of thing. He was all about it. He wanted every part of everyone. He was just excited to be out, excited to be there. You had to get there in line. You literally had to start waiting in line like an hour and a half before they opened, or you wouldn't get one of these dogs. And at the end of it, you know, you get a little packet. It's, here's, you can adopt me this way, that way. I mean, if I had the space, right? If I was in the market for adopting a dog, he is just so freaking cute. Look at him. This is him, you know, finishing off the food here. He stuck his whole face in the bag. I've never seen a dog do this, and he is just absolutely covered in that disgusting dog food. He's falling into the slats. He doesn't even care. Such a funny little guy. Give him a nice face wipe. And this is when we try to bring him down to the water here. Not, you know, you'd think an island dog would like the water, right? But this is when I learned that not all island dogs like the water. I couldn't even get him near it, and I wasn't gonna force him in there, you know. We're here to make his life better, not make it harder. And this was the result. A very tired puppy by the end of the day. Everybody was just so in love with him. Everybody was giving as much love as they could give. He's such a nice little guy. We may have said goodbye to Winter, but he is not the only pet that we saw on this trip. On a resort, there was a couple of kittens over here that were hanging out right on the entrance. And there's a store right down the street that sold cat food, so you know that Lily had to go down there and buy a bunch of it. It was interesting to see cats that had like almost like little beds in the mulch under these tropical trees. You know, usually when you see a cat, it's like the indoor cat, you know, has a litter box, everything like that. These guys are living out here on a tropical island. It's just an interesting situation to see a cat in, and to see these cats be so kind to humans is interesting to me. The mother was kind of a little bit more hesitant compared to what looks to be the two kids. Like the one that Lily is petting right now is really friendly and seems a lot younger than the mother. There's the other tabby on the right there. They had a little hierarchy going as well. See how the mother is eating first? The mother will eat like half of it and then walk away and watch as the kittens eat it. It was an interesting little, you know, they almost like it's undoing the domestication of an actual cat, and they're starting to move back into the wild. Oh, this is, oh, a cat fight. This is one of those things, you know, you would never catch me doing unless it was on camera, especially for my own YouTube channel. We are climbing up on this rusty old boat to jump off. You can see the nasty old rainwater on the inside of this thing. And see all those, you know, it almost looks like roofing tiles covering the floor there. I noticed it's to cover a bunch of holes right there. That's a giant hole that was covering. All of like the quarters are still, you know, furnished with nasty moldy like cushions and stuff, and you're walking the deck and everything like this. Made sure I brought my shoes because it would have been quite a tetanus shot if I didn't here. All the water and stuff is kind of covered up by boards. A nice look in the rooms and stuff. One thing I noticed is the doorways on a ship like this. They are so small. They are not meant for very tall people. Being on a ship, it's meant for a short person. The stairs themselves are also really close together and go up very quickly. Interesting little, you know, tidbit about ships. I haven't been on a lot of them. But, yeah, this was a giant cargo ship that wrecked and got brought out during a hurricane, I believe. And now tourists come over here to jump off the top of it. And unfortunately, I am the next person to do that. This is me standing here regretting my decision. This is high, huh?
I'm a quick guy.
Oh, man. The only way I was doing this if there was a camera in my hand, I'll tell you that.
Are you gonna throw your shoes off or are you jumping them on?
I'm jumping them on.
Alright.
I'll tell you what. When you jump in like that, you don't realize how shallow it really is. Everybody else came down in one piece and we continued our boat ride around the Turks. The boat dropped us off at Noah's Ark, where this photo was taken a week after we were there. You can see it in the right corner of the screen as I'm jumping off this trampoline, but the place was pretty cool. It's kind of like a floating bar and grill in the middle of the ocean at this little peninsula of the Turks and Caicos. There was a nice current that was pushing right by the bar here. They had a little sectioned off area where you could stand and have your drinks and everything in the water. But the current was really pulling right through here. I mean, I was floating all the way down it. There's also a lot of fish in the water around here. This little guy was getting curious, waiting for something to come out of my pockets. Very similar to that first one I saw at the old aquarium there. As we were walking around with our mask, we did see a couple of things that we needed to remove, like this straw. There's actually a lot of straws around here, or these blue plastic ones. By the time that I left Noah's Ark, my pockets were full of trash and straws and whatever I found on the bottom here. But not everything I found on the bottom was absolutely useless. This was pretty deep onto the ocean floor here, so deep that my ears felt like they were exploding. But I found a pair of glasses. And a hat. But Noah's Ark, as the name implies, also has a lot of wildlife flying around it.
the Maxwin.
Not that Drake isn't famous in the States as well, but he's on everything around here. Like, all of the shops have Drake merch or Drake this, Drake that. He's a big deal out there. Oh. It looks like he's calling into the show right now. What's up, Drake?
What is up? It is me, Drake. I love Super Bitch 45. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, because that is the motto. YOLO.
We rented another boat to go check out the offshore reefs. There just so happened to be a slide on the back of it as well, which some people decided to try. And I will admit, it was a lot more fun than I was expecting.
Alright, come on down. Lindsay, watch out.
As you saw with the slide, when we went in the water we had to wear these like floating yellow belts, so it made it kind of difficult to get to the bottom of the ocean here to look at what there is. So to help with that, the first mate started throwing Doritos into the water. And wouldn't you know it, that all the reef fish just love Doritos. I was getting so close to them, they didn't even care at all. I think those are black triggerfish, and I don't know the names of the other fish, but they probably have a more scientific name than that. We got all the little needlefish up there as well. These guys were kind of away from the rest of the fish. Maybe they're not as strong, they get beat up by the other ones, but it was an interesting little mix of fish here. They were freaking out because someone just jumped in. But yeah, you get real close to these things when there's Doritos in the water. Fun fact. Here's that belt in action again. I am desperately trying to get close enough to look at this bright yellow SpongeBob sponge down here, but this belt is too good. It keeps me upright. Our next activity was looking for the carcasses of invertebrates. That's right, it was sand dollaring. When looking for sand dollars, make sure you're at a nice flat sandy place right next to a reef, as all those little guys are gonna be living in there, dying in there, and blowing over. I would fill my pockets up and I would climb back aboard to collect my harvest and went back in. But instead of looking for the sand dollars this time, I did get a little distracted sightseeing. Eventually, we did get back on track, and it seems as though our uncle is a closeted pro. Can never seem to find the full ones.
You see yourself?
Yay, Jojo.
This may be the most humbling natural experience of my life. Without a camera in my hands, I don't know if I would have done this. This boat is stopped because they found JoJo. Was that awesome or what? It's moments like that that take me back to my childhood inspiration of Steve Irwin. It helped me realize that I really do love this whole wildlife photography thing, and I hope I get more chances to do it. It also helped to fuel the initiative to get the good shots on the other wildlife around the island. If you're looking to see fish in the Turks and Caicos, look no further than Coral Gardens. I was wearing this ring to see if I could kind of attract fish, but I'm not sure if it actually worked or not. They seem pretty quote-unquote friendly overall, because they're probably waiting for stuff to fall out of my pockets, but if you're looking to just get in the water, snorkel around and look at fish, this is the place to go. par for the course, we found ourselves another stingray on the sandy bottom. This time, this one had like this huge fish following it around, and this fish would not move away from the stingray. They definitely had this crazy little symbiotic relationship. That fish was not letting anything else get close enough to that stingray unless it was eating it. Quick shore check to make sure that I didn't float too far out to sea. Once I felt as though we annoyed that stingray long enough, I decided to take a look around the outside of the reef. And would you look at that, we found ourselves a pufferfish. Note to anybody who's using these Nautica sea scooters. They will pull two 200+ pound men, just not very quick. Those ropes that you keep seeing are holding buoys around where the reef is. This stops anybody from swimming over it and breaking stuff up with their fins and such. The fish also like to hang out closer to the shore here in front of the reef. There's plenty of little small aquarium looking fish that you can swim around with. We circled back around to make sure our boy was doing alright. And as we were coming up on top of him here, he slowed up, gave us a quick little look around, made sure that we weren't a threat, stayed perfectly still, and decided, I think I'm making it out to the deep blue today. And started crawling his way to the deeper part of the ocean that I personally was too afraid to explore, because where there are fish, there are sharks. And I'm sitting here looking down at the seafloor instead of out to the middle of the ocean. Again, I didn't see any sharks this trip, except for that baby lemon shark over on Iguana Island, so not to say that they're not around, just my experience. On our second pass around, we thought maybe it would be a little easier to go around the other way, since the current was pulling us this way and that way on the other one. Thought we might be able to swim a little bit easier if we started from the other side. Immediately as we started swimming around, we saw people congregating around here. And they were looking at this baby turtle. This is probably the first time I've seen a wild sea turtle, and definitely the first time I've been able to get this close to it. I got a pretty nice little close-up of this guy. Say cheese. Ever since I was a kid, especially on vacations, I am always in the water. So I consider myself to be a pretty good swimmer. If you are not a good swimmer, I do not recommend trying to swim around this reef. The current will really take you out there, and if you're not paying attention, or you seize up, or you cramp up, you might get yourself into a serious situation around here. I would take one of these scooters here to make sure that if you get tired, you can get your way out of here. There's so much to look at over here at the reef that you can get distracted very easily. I almost missed this giant fish on the left entirely. This thing was at least 3 times bigger than any fish that I had seen so far. If you listen closely to this clip, you may hear my scooter turn off.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Now, if you remember, I did say you probably should be good at swimming if you do something like this. And me, I thought I was going to drown. I was in full panic mode here. This thing no longer helps me swim, but weighs me down. Thing weighs probably 10 pounds, 10 to 15 pounds. So now I'm holding, you know, a 10-pound weight stuck to my shirt, dragging me down while the current is pushing me the other way. And I am not moving very quickly. Now, if I take my mask off here, I'm afraid that I just fill my mouth and lungs with water instead of being able to breathe above it. So I'm just taking deep breaths, moving myself real slow, taking a look at what the ocean has to offer, just in case, you know, it is the final time I ever get to do that. But I was close enough to shore where it really wasn't a huge problem. I was just psyching myself out. But when you're using those scooter things, try not to wear baggy clothing. I didn't exactly think about that until this exact moment where it actually mattered. This guy has no idea what I just went through, and I am trying not to show how panicked I was. I'm so out of breath and bewildered at this point that I don't even know how to get this thing off. So I show my aunt what happened. Turns out if you just put it in reverse, it comes right out. We decided we pestered the wildlife for long enough, and we went back to the hotel room to get ready for dinner. Welcome to Shark Bites. This is a little bar overhanging a marina. And if there's one thing I've learned about warm water marinas, it's that sharks love to come through them. Right over the side of the bar, there's all these fish. And from what I could see, it looks like a lot of them were spawning or had nests underneath here. these lights from the bar themselves light up the water so you can see what's swimming by. The bar itself has some pretty Turks core types of decorations going on the inside. Not only is a giant shark hanging from the ceiling, but you also walk through a giant shark's mouth to get to the bar itself. And this is what you come here for. You can see that the shark has this long tail. I ordered chicken wings to throw the bones into the water, hoping to get more sharks near the bar itself. But look at this. I think that they were all nurse sharks. In my head, I was imagining a more aggressive variant of shark. But apparently, nurse sharks are actually number 4 in shark bites overall. I think because they are so docile and seem so chill, that divers just get kind of crazy and get up in their face and they just get bit. Either way, I do not think that the chicken wings were doing anything to bring these sharks around. And who knows if this was even multiple sharks. It could just be one. They did look a little different though. They were different sizes. I heard about this place and I was so afraid that I wasn't going to see any sharks. And I'm so glad I got to see so many of them. Probably because they're nocturnal and it was nighttime type of deal. But I bet they're just swimming around looking for their opportunity in the marina. Unfortunately, our vacation was coming to a close. So I went back to where it all started to check it out one last time. And who did we find but the friendly fish? Let me know what you guys think about this type of content. I had a ton of fun filming it and a lot of fun editing it as well. Remember to like the video, and if you're new, make sure you subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.